To speak about the modern sales cycle. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Engineer Magdi. Thank you for joining us. And so, a very rich topic. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I think I will have to agree first with what Mahesti said, is that the internet had been like changing our behavior as users, and also, on the other hand, for businesses, it had been becoming like challenging to stay up to date with how the internet works and how for their businesses to move further, especially if they had been in business for a long period of time. So we have a big industry which is like the digital transformation, which is about helping businesses that have been around for a long period of time of how they be able to kind of ride the digital age. So we will have to agree when it comes to attracting clients, which what we call it like generating leads and qualifying leads and closing businesses, because businesses are based on transactions. They want to get clients and they want to get transactions done. So for them, they see that lots of these transactions which used to happen like in store, like people walking in or happening offline, now have moved online. So the challenge for business owners, especially small business owners, how do I follow that trend? How do I change my business and my approach to be able to capture that business from online? So this
I want to say with the consumers, sorry, Engineer Magdi, I want to say with the consumers, because most of our viewers now are consumers. They're not the business owners. That's the 80-20 rule, the 20-80 rule. So I assume, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that most of those who search online and purchase online are youth and sometimes children now, but not the elderly, not those in their 60s, 70s, or 50s. And you tell me, and thus, how is this affecting the market in general? And let's speak about Egypt.
Yeah, I think like if we think about like the age group of those who are moving online, we can say that like what they call the Y generation, or like those who are like the 35 right now, like starting 35, 37 right now, they are starting to have lots of their transactions happening online. So maybe like those who are older are less likely to make a purchase decision online, and they will have like the other ways in which they like to investigate different sales decisions prior to making a transaction, and they might prefer to schedule some times to go for a store and then like compare what they have seen online with what's possible online, especially if they're purchasing services like that's physical. So this is still like a large percentage of consumers, especially in countries like Egypt, in which that online is not becoming as big as it is in other markets. I like to actually get an idea of what's offered there, how much is it, and then they go to trusted stores to make the purchase decision, make the transaction through a physical store.
But don't we say that the idea that we go shopping and we walk in the street to buy our stuff has a big change than before? Because I do see a lot of my friends and myself think that it's much easier to just purchase what we do want online. So to what extent that is affecting the idea that we go for shopping or to go to the stores, even for food shopping, Mr. Magdi?
Yeah, I think like if we look at other markets, and also we'd understand what's happening in Egypt is also to some extent is going to be following what happened in other markets.
Yes.
Like some of the quick decisions, like when it comes to grocery shopping right now, for example, it's
you just, as you are surfing the net, you just see advertisement or the product popping up, so it's more attractive. So
yeah, exactly.
And you usually see offers and better prices than you likely get.
Exactly. And if we talk about things like frequent purchases, like grocery shopping, is basically you have solutions right now that's more like subscription based, in which that you have a box, and then you have things like gradually being developed to that box, and then you have the user has a dashboard in which that they can fill what exactly they want. So it's more about, you know, like what is the user quite like is looking to purchase. So if it's like frequent items, or it's like something that you purchase in a year, like clothes, etc., or is it like more like something they're going to purchase in 5 years? So the behavior is going to differ according to what exactly they are purchasing. But the challenge also for business owners is going to come into that they need to get into the mind of these consumers and understand how they are thinking and what the process, and how by then I would shift part of my process online to match like the behavior of consumers, etc.
How dangerous is it for children to get into this cycle? They are already, and sometimes they buy stuff or they order stuff that their parents are not even aware of or haven't taken the permission for. So how good or bad is it that children are getting into this cycle, and how can we regulate, or should the cycle be regulated?
Yeah, I think like 80% of that would actually go into like the parental control in terms of like the parent managing like their children's access to technology, and to what extent do they use technology and what they are allowed to use it for and not. I think like a purchase decision that usually require a credit card or a transaction, so there are different ways in which that this could be moderated in terms of we do not allow like in the devices and the hardware they are using, like the credit card is not inserted there so they cannot finish transactions. There will be always like different solutions in which that they can basically tap into an existing account, etc. Like if it comes to subscriptions, for example. So if you're sharing like a store subscription, they can order different applications. So I think the easiest way to look at it, because also from the other hand, like those who are doing marketing, they have to be responsible in terms of what they kind of promote directly to those who are underage. But by the end of the day, it's going to be the parent decision and responsibility to moderate access to different like platforms in which the purchase decisions are happening.
Yes. Mr. Magdi, what are the main elements here that we do need to put together for a successful marketing and sales plans for the current year 2020 as we are starting a new year? What are the new ideas, the new challenges, the new things that we need to reach here in order to change or to improve in the marketing strategies?
Yeah, I think like if I look at everything that we discussed in terms of how consumers are thinking about the sales and how they are moving online right now, like my biggest challenge as a business owner and as an entrepreneur is to look at the opportunities in which I can adjust my operation to kind of to be able to attract some of that business.
So what are the tips here that you do give for your, as you are giving lectures or you are giving courses here for the young entrepreneurs and for the young business owners who are doing marketing and sales online? What are the tips here that you are going to give this year?
Yeah, I think like it's not actually like if we think about like how the internet is changing things, I think there is a very interesting analogy which actually is based on Einstein, and he was like having the finals exam, and like his teaching assistant figured out that he's actually like sending the same test as last year, and then he kind of brought that to the attention of Einstein and told him like you're actually giving them the same exam as last year. Like so he said that the question changed, but the answers did. So I think it also applies to business owners in terms of, in terms of, you know, like it's still in order for you to make a successful sale, it's the same like psychology, but there is a different process.
Yes,
so the thing is about like hammering on the skill sets and hammering on the basic skills for people who are doing the marketing and the sales, while also thinking about the process differently, looking at how does it, like for example, if we think about it, what usually happens is that we think about it in terms of 5 stages. We need to figure out who are the users. So the first step is to understand what are the perfect profile for our users. So if I have like 3 personas for the users who buy from me or buy my offering, who would they be? Like how old are they? Where do they live? How much they are willing to spend? How frequently do they make this purchase? So I need to understand to a lot of details like who these customers are. And then I need to know like where do they go? So do you usually spend a lot of time on YouTube? Do they kind of go to educational websites? Do they do a lot of business networking on LinkedIn? So I need to figure out what sites or like where do I find them? So figuring out the channels through which I can reach out to them. And then I know that what are their pains, because I know who they are and like where they are, but then I can actually like design my message in terms of talking about like solving some of their problems or offering them more efficiency according to their needs. So, but then I knew who they are, I found the channels, and then I sent them a very direct message for them to take an action. And then once they take a specific action, I have to make it easy for them to initiate this conversation. And once they initiate this conversation, I have to have like a well-designed sales process and people who are like qualified and also like operating with a lot of ethics and sensitivities in order for them to be able to kind of close the sales cycle. If we think about it online, if we're talking about sales specifically, I mean, if users go online and then they do the whole purchase decision online, by then there is no sales to be done. So the sales profession is done, but that's not the case. I think in a lot of industries, like people are still, they see the product, they might actually add it to the shopping cart, but by then there are different other elements that they need to get answered in order for them to take the purchase decision. And this is a transition in which that you need a sales professional who really knows exactly what they are doing, and they have like systems in place, and they are well trained, and they know how to handle that in order for them to close the sale.
Indeed. So the sales profession is very much alive, but you're saying, Engineer Magdi, that the job description has changed, and that research and development, perhaps R&D, is now the main task of and keeping up to date with technology is the main task of the sales department.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with that. If we're looking at hiring sales professionals in today's world, I mean, if we have an online business or an e-commerce store, or like we're selling business services, and we're looking at sales professionals, how do we kind of assess whether these are...
It's probably the most important job, probably, in today's world. I mean, in the business cycle.
Yeah, like definitely closing sales is very important. I think there is a very important job to be done in terms of building the strategy, in terms of how do I get the right like clientele, get the right kind of personas. But by then, definitely you have to look at the sales professionals and you have to assess. Like there are like 4 different areas.
It's the sales department that will tell you who are you targeting, first of all. I mean, it's part of the strategy. They are already part of the strategy, aren't they? Because if you don't have a client, if you don't have an targeted audience, then you don't have a business altogether. So I don't want to be, you know, I'm just asking your opinion. I mean, are we getting into a world where the sales department is basically the most important in the cycle?
Well, I think like the example that I have given in terms of if we're moving towards an automated sales cycle or automated like marketing and sales cycle, we see that sales is not even as much as it used to be, because if we're looking at offline stores, so offline stores, like sales is the most important thing, because you have walk-in traffic. These people they are walking in the streets at like Talat Harb like street, for example, and then they go into the store. So there's a lot of success is going to depend on the personality and the talent of the salesperson. But like I think in the modern world, we need actually to get the right traffic. So there is a lot of weight that goes into defining where do we find the customers, who they are, and how do we target them. So there is a lot of weight that goes into kind of getting the clients.
But I need to get the advice of the sales department to do that.
Yeah, I think like what also happens is it becomes a matter of analytics and automation. So because these are like digital platforms, so let's think about it as an email list. If the way that I generate business online is that I get people to download a PDF, and then I get their email, and by then I have an analytic tools that tell me like the names or the regions or which parts in Cairo these people are coming from, and by then I have a lot of data in which that I'm accessing through analytics tool that's not necessarily coming out of like the direct sales professionals. That doesn't mean that like sales are not needed or they are not important, but by then it becomes even more important for them to invest on like different capabilities and skills. This makes it easier for them to close the sales cycle. Some of these things that we look at is like they have like 4 different parts. Like some of them are IQ, so definitely like salespeople has to be really intelligent in terms of, and also we think about AQ, which is like acquired intelligence, in terms of for them their ability to learn, update themselves. That's highly important. And also like TQ, which is like technology intelligence. They have to be like up to date with technology, and they have to be trained on technology. And one of the things that's usually said when it comes to the sales professional, as we're talking about the level of importance, is like there are 2 types of salespeople in the future.
Yes.
Those who like tell the machines what to do, or tell the technology what to do, and there are those who get told what to do by the machines.
Yes.
So, and the different then most likely going to be the 4th part, which is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is by the time that I got all these flow from online and I have these profiles and I'm sending a particular message to a particular individual, to what extent do I understand where they come from, and I understand how to like interact with them in terms of, do I give them a phone call, do I send them a message, like do I wait? So there's a lot of decision that has to do with emotional intelligence in terms of moderating my own feelings and also in my own emotions, and also understanding how this is being perceived. So but then if I'm a sales professional, or like if I want to become a sales professional, I would look at like investing at these like 4 different quadrants, and also becoming really like IQ. This is something most likely I'm born with, so I could be like even if we say that those who are kind of in a lower like high IQ but have higher EQ and TQ, they could actually be very good business like salespeople.
Engineer Abdou Magdi, business coach.